You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. And now your footwear insiders, Matt Priest and Andy Polk.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Shoe In Show. Welcome to summer. To quote the poet, Nelly is getting hot in her. We cover, obviously, everything on the fashion side, sneakers, everything, but we know sandals are booming right now as the heat keeps coming across the country and will for the next couple of months. It's got Matt really excited about back to school, so he sent his kids back out of the house. Have a little bit more time for himself. Same with me. The other great thing about what's happening over summer is our vaccination rates are going up. Hopefully keep going up. And people are starting to move around the country. Brands and retailers are starting to see each other again. So we're moving from this, this recovery or this kind of reemergence into what I like to call a renaissance.
I like it indeed. It makes it sound super fancy.
Exactly. So that's what I'm aiming for here. So we've got this renaissance of the way people are doing business, conducting business, the reemergence, but just, we've got this huge growth happening, huge demand from consumers. And now retailers are starting to lick their lips a little bit and grease their palms, say, all right, let's get back out there and see each other again and start putting in orders. So as we start to look at this, of course, we bring in experts across the industry and our partners to help us shed light on different parts of the industry. So today, Matt, as we talk about the Renaissance, who we got?
We have Kelly Helfman, who is the commercial president at Informa Markets Fashion. Kelly, we are excited to have you on the show because we are level setting kind of the trade show space. We have emerging retailers and brands coming out looking to make the connectivity in this renaissance, as Andy puts it. And you all are perfectly positioned to help facilitate those connections. But the landscape's quite different than it was if we had this conversation in July of 2019. So, one, welcome back to Shoe In Show. You were here last year. But two, talk to us about where we are as it relates to trade shows and what you're hearing from your brand and retail partners as they get ready to connect again to buy and sell shoes.
Well, first of all, I love that you call it a renaissance, number one. And number two, Andy, the reference to Nelly Hot in Her, I don't know if you knew this, but we had Nelly perform at the Feb 2020 Magic Las Vegas show. And he was so sick. He got on stage, said what a bad cold he has. And I'm blaming Nelly actually for the spread of COVID at Magic. I'm just joking. But we really did have him perform. He's amazing. Yes. Gosh, we're back. I'm so grateful to be talking to you again. And listen, what a year that was for a live events company too. Not only was it, honestly, not only was it hard for all of our retailers and our brands, but as a live events company where we depend on in-person events for our revenue, that was a tough year, but we made it. We're excited to get back. And like you just mentioned, Andy, people are waking up. I couldn't be more thrilled about our retail registration numbers for both Coterie and Magic. It's as if it's almost, knock on wood, better. A lot of the mom and pops and independents and specialty chains are all so excited to get back to business. They need inventory and it looks incredible, our registration numbers. On the brand side, I know it's funny because I was nervous kind of forecasting for our shows, thinking, gosh, I got to think, a lot less, who's going to really make it through the pandemic. But I was so pleasantly surprised to see how many people just pulled through. They did whatever they could, these brands, to survive. They got scrappy, whether it was going to consumer, selling off, excess inventory. So everybody's back. They might just be back in a little bit more of a budget conscious way, a smaller space, whatnot. But everybody knows that they need to come to these live events. Everybody tried a virtual show or a marketplace. And listen, some of them were very successful, but there's nothing like being in person at an event to touch and feel the product and really see it for yourself. And so it's almost needed more now than ever. So we'll be coming back to Magic Las Vegas with our big normal show. We did a very small curated pop-up in Orlando in February because, of course, Nevada wasn't open yet for us to go back, nor was New York. So we at least convened the market in Orlando, which was super exciting. And we had like 33% of new retailers that never were in our database. So I think it was great new offering for people to open up new doors. But nothing's like going to Magic or Coterie, right? And so we'll be going to Magic August 9th through the 11th. Sourcing opens up on the 8th. They opened up a new hall. It's called the West Hall at the Las Vegas Convention Center. So we get to take over that. We're going to be in the West Hall with Magic. And then the North Hall will be a very small sourcing show because obviously a lot of international travel can still not happen. So we don't have China, and a lot of India is a big country for us. So none of them could come over. So it's actually more focused sourcing this time on, there is a big footwear component still, sustainability, made in USA, small minimums, kind of everything that's hot right now that these brands need, less inventory risk. We see a lot of retailers who want private label, so they're going to sourcing for that. And then in Central Hall is going to be kind of our contemporary floor. So it's project, whether that's women's or men's collections, accessories, as well as footwear in the contemporary space. So that brings me to footwear.
Yeah.
Let me update the community on what's happening with footwear in Las Vegas. As everybody knows, for the most part, and if not, I'll inform you, we went through a transition where we were FM platform, and then we did a partnership for a short while with Mika and Milano. We love them dearly. But moving forward, we really listened to both the retailer and the footwear customer, and ultimately they wanted to be merchandised and shopped within the primary marketplaces or hero brands that we serve. So having a footwear section and community within Project, having one within Magic, having one within Coterie, not necessarily pulling out all of the footwear and putting it in one hall, let's say, and calling it its own show. The way buyers are shopping now is they want to shop all of the apparel, footwear, and accessories within their price point altogether. And so that's what we ended up doing as sole footwear stores are kind of declining, and you see apparel and fashion retail stores going up and up, that those stores want to pick up footwear right where they're picking up their apparel and their accessories. So we listened, and it was very much the same on both the needs of the buyers and the brands. Put us in Magic, put us in Project, put us in Coterie. That's how we're going to see the right buyers for our business. And so that's what we're doing. So you'll see kind of more of that fast fashion trend footwear sitting within Magic, more contemporary women's and men's footwear or traditional men's comfort sitting within Project. And then in Coterie, we'll be doing the same thing, right? So Coterie, which is September 19th to the 21st, we'll have a footwear section within Coterie that's more of that contemporary women's collection. And then the traditional, what was called Soul Commerce will sit within what we're now calling Magic New York. So we had a little bit of brand soup through all the different acquisitions on our side. And so what used to be called Fame, Soul Commerce, Children's Club, Moda in New York will all now equal Magic New York.
That's awesome.
So really just communicating those and really using our brand strength with Magic on the East Coast. Okay, I'll shut up now.
No, that was the perfect rundown of all the things that you're working on. Kelly, what is kind of your main takeaway as we head out of the pandemic as to how buyers in particular are thinking about show strategy? So you said you might have less of a spend and maybe send less buyers, but their inventory is a huge problem. We need to find more inventory for sure. So do you think the companies are approaching this more of in a regional landscape, or is there space to kind of at some point get back to a big national shoe show that serves every single aspect of the industry?
It's funny. It is still a national shoe show. It's just merchandised differently, right? So we still have the largest brand lineup in footwear at Las Vegas in the Magic Marketplace, Magic and Project. It's just merchandised differently to make sense for the buyer and the brands to reach their retailer more appropriately, right? And so the buyer wants to shop a different way now. They have shorter amount of time. It has to be more effective the way in which we merchandise the floor. So if anything, coming out of the pandemic, it allowed us to, think about things differently. It was the opportunity to really just make the changes and rip some Band-Aids off that we might have been nervous about in the future and just listen to our customers. So when it is the National Shoe Show, we definitely have the largest group of brands within the United States for footwear. It's just merchandised differently. I would say if I could, the number one thing with retailers right now is they're also nervous. They need inventory, but they're nervous about inventory risk. So I'm sure you guys have talked about this a ton. Little mom and pops want to do drop shipping. They're nervous to order too far in advance and not be able to sell. And how are our footwear brands going to really pivot to accommodate those needs? They're getting creative because they don't want to get stuck. They're really buying on demand. And so we have to have more immediates available. We have to, as a brand, be a little bit more flexible with how we can work with these retailers on payment plans. It's the same way brands ask of me, where they might pay in full up front when they contract for a booth space. Now they're asking, hey, is it okay if we pay in segments leading up to the show? And by the show, we're fully paid. We just all have to work a little bit more closely together and try to be flexible. These buyers just don't want inventory risk. So how can we serve them better? Get creative. And we're here to help our brands try to find resources. So like sourcing, we're specifically talking about smaller minimums, shorter production times. How can we help these footwear buyers to think, these footwear brands to think differently and really serve these customers in a different way? And it's hard. It's changing the business.
I think the hard stuff's the most rewarding things though, right? I mean, we went through this big existential crisis. So to imagine that we go back the same way, it doesn't make any sense to go back to the way we were, right? We need to integrate things, digital tools and technologies, change the footprint of the trade shows. I, for one, could use a little bit more walking, so not just in a footwear hall, but across multiple halls to get off my COVID pounds. So get out your armbands and get out, your 80s headbands to get that sweat off in the heat in Vegas as you walk through. But I think part of it too is inspiration of walking through and seeing product with other types of apparel or handbags or whatever, and see what's out there and see if we can get inspired a little bit across different products as we look forward. Because I think just like we're all changing internally, the consumer's changing too, and we've got to adapt and find new inspirations to match the new ways of business that we're doing things. So kudos for you guys for trying something. And I would also say too, like, I'm sure somebody are going to grumble about this or that, but like it, why not change? We've all been through a huge change. So I think people are going to be more willing to try something different to see if they can get some success and go through things. So I don't, as the change goes, I think it's a huge opportunity to see what's there and reimagine how we do trade shows and just try stuff.
And Andy,
I feel like these days there's no more fail, right? There's only we learn we can't do it that way, so we'll just do it this way, and we'll just keep going, and keep going down that path.
I really get the question all the time for buyers. What are you doing differently? We can no longer whether you're a trade show company, a brand, a retail store, show up the same exact way. There is a huge amount of pressure to show up differently, be more inspiring, more creative, just think outside the box to address their new needs. And so when I think about the opportunity we have of coming back after the pandemic as Magic and Coterie, I think different ways of merchandising and shopping, more white glove concierge services. I think more exciting experiences that they haven't seen before. How is our education programs different for these like startup brands or retailers that need help more than ever to think differently? We all have to show up differently. And so although for some of the old school trade show people, and I'm one of them, I've been with Magic for 15 years, it feels a little uncomfortable, but the retailers and the industry are challenging us to show up differently. And so we have to. So all of the footwear companies who participate in the trade shows coming up, I hope they notice and embrace it and actually see the ROI from it. Are the numbers going to be, so even if the same amount of buyers are there, will their numbers be the same after the trade show? We're not sure. Mm-hmm. But what we know is they're coming. They're registered. They're going to be there. It's going to kind of be up to the brands to really be flexible and creative on how they're working with these stores in this different era with their new needs.
Are you gonna do a virtual hybrid, or are you just setting aside virtual? What's the plan going forward? Because you talked about it in your opening remarks, but I'm curious to know if there's even a place for it at this point, or are folks just going to set that aside for a while?
There is. I just think that the way the business is moving, they're always, and I don't want to use virtual, more of like a digital aspect of a marketplace of some sort. Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen is, because these stores need to order on demand and they don't want inventory risk, we have to have a solution, a 365 solution. So you come to the big shows, 2 Coteries, 2 Magics to do orders, see in person, discovery. But then throughout the year, you can order from our brands and really use that as a resource. So we forever will have a digital component and a hybrid. We're kind of creating our forever product right now. So for Magic, it's going to still just be an app to help you really discover at the live show. But eventually it'll be a hybrid. So whatever technology we go with will be used to do your planning for the show, appointment setting, discovery, order writing. It will kind of all overlap together. And that's the future of this business. Some people had a great experience during COVID and some people did not. But if we differentiate ourselves, we overlap it with the live show, it really adds value for us as a trade event company. And for our customers to be able to reach people who maybe don't have the budget to come overseas to shop the show. We have to get you more reach and more marketing opportunities. And we want to add value for the customer that way.
Awesome. And speaking of digital, when people are looking to learn more about the upcoming shows, what's the website they can go visit?
So right now, I would just go to magicfashionevents.com. You can play around. You can go to Coterie Project, see all the brand list, and see who's going to check that out, maps, etc. So right now, we're actually in floor planning mode for Magic, and we're releasing booth number soon. And then we jump right into Coterie. So magicfashionevents.com, and definitely our social media keeps everybody up to date. So whether that's WWD Magic, and that really talks a lot about the footwear within the fast fashion trend community, or you go to Project Show, that's where we're really talking about a lot of the footwear within the contemporary men's and women's space. And then of course, Coterie Show.
Awesome. I think one adjustment we can all agree on is that we need more cannons at these events shooting off T-shirts or shoes or whatever it is for attention. That'd be my one adjustment. Some people may frown on health and safety issues with that, but I want attention. A confetti cannon's the way to go. Just my personal opinion.
I love it.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Like we're at an NBA.
Exactly. With Nelly.
Kelly, thank you so much for joining us today to give us a quick update on what's happening. And again, folks can follow them online and learn more about the upcoming events. But as Kelly said, this is Field of Dreams. I'll start with Nelly and I'll end with Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
It's true.
And if you do a confetti cannon, then they will have fun. You get that too? They come and fun. All right, great. Kelly, as always, thank you so much for joining and give us a quick update on what's happening. And we're super excited to see the renaissance of the trade show that you guys are working on.
Thank you both.
Awesome. Folks, this is Shoe and Show. You can get us at shoeandshow.com for our full catalog. We've been doing this for over 5 years now. There's a ton of great content, super relevant, even if it's 3 years ago, still relevant to our business and our business models, even as the changes keep happening. And also, you can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, anywhere you can download audio. We're there. Please tell your friends and your colleagues about this show to keep updated every single week on critical insights to the footwear marketplace. And as always, if you have an idea for a show we should have or a guest we should have on, drop us a line at shoeandshow.com. The bottom left, there's a little voice note there that you can leave us, or you can leave us comments about the show and tell us how wonderful we are. We love those too. If you have a negative comment, those get deleted, just to let you know. All right, right off the bat, we have a bot that does that. Yeah, we have a bot who does that for us. It's called Producer Blake, right? So anyway, folks, as always, we really appreciate you tuning in to our weekly show. We hope you stay safe. Please get vaccinated. Please start coming back to these trade shows. Let's get our energy back. Let's see each other again. We're all, I think, very excited to do that. And until next time, Shoe In is out.
Shoe In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.